Welcome to Local Omaha. I'm Ken Bartholomew.
And I'm Kelsey Wiedel.
Each video podcast, we come to you featuring a business owner, a nonprofit, a community leader, and area entrepreneurs. And this week, Kelsey?
Yeah, this week we are here with Bob Franzese. Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. Looking forward to this.
It's been great speaking with you. All right, so tell us a little bit about you, your background, and your business you've started.
Okay, I have a doctorate in sociology. I've spent my entire career in higher education, ranging from community college to public universities to private universities. For example, I just finished teaching a class for Creighton University this past semester. And so my entire career has been between being a faculty member and an administrator, and recently starting up this own business with my brother-in-law, John. And so the whole 9 yards have been in higher education. My wife is an educator too. As a matter of fact, she's substitute teaching at Phoenix Academy today.
Okay.
It's a great place. She loves it. That's her speed, helping kids of this background. And so that's who I am. I'm higher education.
Great. And we are so excited to talk to you about your business that you've started today. Tell us a little about your consulting business and how you came up with this idea.
Well, we'll do the latter first here. My brother-in-law and I started to talk, and I think it was my wife's idea that I speak with John about something, and we started to talk, and we said, well, why don't we do something that's related to what I've done over the years? And we thought about that, and college consulting came out of nowhere, so to speak. And it's something that actually had been on my mind for a while. But what the business is called College Consulting with Dr. Bob. What the business is basically works with students on letter writing to get into college and getting scholarships, acquiring scholarships, and college selection. And so we kind of back up what's done in the high schools with counselors, and the counselors do that as well. And admissions people in high school or colleges are the ultimate saints. I mean, you get done with one student, they have 100 others waiting in line. So we're there to take over when students come to us and follow up on what they've done with their their high school counselors.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Nice.
Yep.
That's super interesting. So you offer kind of like a supplemental support to those services for
Absolutely.
students who are navigating what I think is a pretty complex process.
It is, yeah.
Who do you think may benefit from your services? Do you think it's mostly high school students or junior college?
You know, that's a great question. I would say just about anybody. I mean, we'll work with the adult learner who wants to get back into college, but first we try to work with students who are in their junior year in high school, or maybe their senior year, and they plan on going to college. So that's one of our first focus groups. And then we'll reach out to organizations that might deal with diversity and issues such as that. But right now the focus is on the traditional college-age students, 17, 18 years of age, and helping them navigate the process of getting into college, which I forgot. I mean, here I've been all my entire career in higher education, how traumatic that can be for some people. You start to talk to them about going to college, and it hits them like a ton of bricks.
And that's really whichever career path.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I try to help them with that as well.
Right.
And so people may be thinking of one major, and the more we talk, I might drop ideas, but the key to the business is listening. You don't go in telling people what they should do, where they should go, or things such as that. It's having a keen ear and using my background for so many years dealing with so many different kinds of students and helping them figure out what their next step is.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really cool.
That's great. That's actually one of my questions I had for you is how do you make how do you help them in different ways depending on what kind of student they are? How may you change your game plan, whether it's maybe an artist or an athlete looking for a scholarship versus an academic looking to do maybe research? How are you able to navigate between the different students to find their good fits?
You know, one of the things we do to get that information on our webpage, we have about a 5 or 6 page document for students to fill out. They'll give us their entire history on that. or high school grades, ACT, SAT scores, if ever their background, if they're athletes or if they're in band or whatever debate. We get that information put together and we take it from there. So if a student's interested, let's say, in music, my goal is to help students find out what's the best fit for them for music. Sometimes, and it's this way for any major, sometimes it's bigger institutions, sometimes it's smaller institutions. We take that document with all that information on it and try to fit it to the student's best needs. So, and if they say they're an athlete, we look around for the best spot for them. A big player in this, of course, are parents, and a lot of parents think their children are going to be the future stars and things such as that. Sure. And they might very well be, but being realistic and helping them get to the point where this kind of school that's going to best meet their needs. And I have a number of examples of working with that. So just got done working with a student who will play golf at a small private institution in the Midwest, and but he had outstanding grades. We put everything together and he was able to wind up there. And,
so he gets to play golf, which is his passion.
Yep.
And then that's the vehicle. And
absolutely. And outstanding grades. So, and outstanding ACT scores. So everything got put together.
I think that's one of the things, just in some of the conversations we've had, and I have a friend of mine who's actually in sports, he's specifically basketball, but he talks about, the interaction he has with athletes, and then some of the struggles that there can be with a GPA, and then maybe the lack of what's required to even graduate at this particular point, but then it's a hurdle when you want to go to the next level because your grades have suffered in high school. Maybe it got you through high school and you were an athlete, but then to get into that next level, there can be some hurdles there.
I've been really fortunate. Most of the students I've dealt with have good GPAs. They may not have the highest ACT scores, but a lot of colleges these days, they're not requiring ACT scores or SAT scores.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's working on their grades and things like that. I haven't necessarily had to deal with the 2.0 high school student who was super at something like that, but I've been dealing with people who have demonstrated a success at the previous level, and that would be high school. So. And if that day comes, I'll know how to deal with that. Yeah, because I've dealt with that over my career. So,
fantastic. That's super interesting. So, what age do you think? I have 2 children. They're about to be in middle school, and I had someone approach me talking about they better get started on doing this to prepare them for college.
Okay.
And I thought, I just want my kids to be kids at this age. But how early do you recommend people start thinking about that, or maybe reach out to you for guidance before they get to their junior year?
No later than the first semester of their junior year. Okay. And maybe even before that. Now, let's talk about the question I was just asked. If they are stars, I mean, outstanding test scores, outstanding grades, they're going to be able to write their own ticket. And I'm very pleased to see what the state of Nebraska has done with the 36 on the ACT and the full rides and all this kind of stuff. Even 35 is very good. But for the very superstar students, they're going to be able to write their own ticket. But if you start about your junior year, first semester of your junior year, it gives you all that time to get thinking about where you want to go to school, getting your paperwork in line. I say by the junior year, working with high school counselors, I'll tell you one of the best thing to do is to fill out your FAFSA form. And if anybody's watching this, that has to be done first before you even qualify for any scholarships. And people don't really know that. And so then you take it from there. But, and there may be some who say that, like my wife, who's taught elementary school all her career, says, you start planting that seed when they're in about the 4th or 5th grade. And so it's never too late or too early to start that process. So, but people get busy and reality starts to set in junior year. I would not wait till the senior year to start this process. I get it done starting in the junior year.
Great. So business-wise, did you start this business because you were finding a need for someone to fill that gap or clarify the process? How did you decide that this, other than your exceptional background in history in this, how did you decide that this was going to be your next step?
It's kind of like I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I don't know how many other people in this area there are that do what I do, but do what we do, I should say. But I wanted to do it, and I really enjoy doing it. Sitting down and talking with parents. We meet Zoom, meet in person, but sitting down, talking with parents and their children and working through their plans and their goals and their ambitions. And it's just so enjoyable to do it. And especially when it turns out good for them. Even if they don't wind up with $1 gazillion worth of scholarships, a lot of stuff has been cleared up along the way. And it's working through the questions these people may have, and that helps them get to the right choice. And I just wanted to do it. It's great. I've advised students for years. I've advised them, undergraduates, for going to law school, many people law school, med school, things like that. Younger people wanting to go to high school, and it's always been one of the more enjoyable things I've ever done. So, and it's just a pleasure to work with people and to see things work out the way they want.
That's fantastic.
Or the way they don't want, and then sometimes you work with them and they change their minds.
Right.
And,
but it helps.
I think that's also
helps
an important
clarify
part of the process.
and it's kind of like people talk about marriage counselors. The job of a marriage counselor is not to save a marriage; it's to have people work through the issues,
right?
To see what's going on and to help them make the best decision. That's how I choose to work with these people.
That makes me think of, I know but I'm in residential real estate, and one of the things I like to do is work with first-time home buyers. It's just cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just neat. Again, you help them work through the process, what they're looking for, those types of things, and then the reward and how you're setting somebody up or helping set them up for their future in their home with their family and that type of thing. It's rewarding. So sometimes, you sit back and you think about, in this industry, it's like, where could I steer my efforts and for what reason? But that's really a rewarding direction.
And I think that's a consistent similarity we've seen across business owners. People have started to decide their own business, is they have this passion and they find this rewarding. And then those are the ones that I've seen be the most successful in what they're doing. I love to help small businesses build their brand and build their image. You love to help people get into their first home.
Yeah.
And I think that people don't realize maybe they love to do this, they have this dream, they want to go to college, or maybe undergraduate didn't get them into that graduate school that they wanted, so they need someone like you to maybe help them figure out how to get to that next step to do what they want to do.
Oh yeah, and you work on one part of the American dream in real estate, and I do on the other part in higher education. They're both part of the American dream. It's helping them get there, especially in this day and age when we're told that it's harder for people to get that first home and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're working on the American dream that way. May I use a couple of stories here,
Yes,
if I may?
please. We love to hear stories.
In terms of helping people work through the process, I worked with a young man and his dad, and he's from Omaha, and both were from Omaha, and the young man wanted to go to San Diego State University. And dad was, because his sister lives in San Diego. So we talked more. The dad just said, we can't afford that. That's it. So the more we talked, the more we worked out the issues that he needed to address, and he's going to stay here and start at Metro Community College. I've done that with a couple of people. One person I work with wanted to go to, she lives in Fort Collins, Colorado, wanted to go to the University of Utah to study nursing. Well, the more we worked with her, the more clear it became that she needed to stay closer at home and go to nursing there. They don't, a lot of people, especially younger people, have no idea how expensive this thing is. And I'll tell you right off the bat, for a public education, 4-year education, you're looking at anywhere, room and board, tuition and fees, between $25,000 and $35,000 a year in this state.
Right.
And for private institutions, you're looking at between $55,000 and $60,000. And so I have that as background when I work with students. So I try to help them figure out, well, we got to work on this.
Right, and when you're spending money like that, you want to make sure that you're getting as much of that foundational support as.
And that's only for 1 year, 25. You've got multiply that by 4 or 5. It takes a lot of students more than 4 years to get their degrees this time.
Oh, not 8?
No,
I'm kidding.
no,
No, I'm just kidding.
you got it. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you seeing a lot more because of those increased, just in general, increased cost of living, things like that, increased cost of higher education? Are you seeing a lot of people have success with maybe finding out that maybe their best option is to start out at an institution like Metro or Iowa Western and start with a community college, maybe
Absolutely.
build up their base?
Absolutely. And
Fantastic.
and a lot of people, for example, a lot of people would love to go, and I'm not advertising for any college here like Nebraska Lincoln because of the atmosphere there,
Right.
the sports and all that kind of stuff. But they realize that they're just not ready financially or otherwise to do so. So it's always best to keep that door open for the community college. And a lot of the students, by the way, that we deal with already gained a lot of hours by going to Metro or Iowa Western with advanced placement courses and just taking courses.
Summer courses in
and,
high school.
and then
I've
in
seen a lot of
English and sociology and math. And by the time they get to a four-year institution, if that's what they do, or even going to continue at a community college, they've acquired quite a few hours.
That's what I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's wonderful.
Yeah, because there's some of again, Kelsey and I worked together and we were out in far west Omaha, but some of the kids that had taken that path were entering college as a sophomore. And,
Oh, yeah.
And then some.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually just found out that I have an associate's degree through Metro solely through doing AP classes and transfer credits during the summer and things like that. I didn't even know I had this, and I thought this is just such a great, and not that one specifically, not that I'm proponent, but it's such a great option for kids. And I think that maybe some kids don't realize that if you don't get into the college of your dreams that first time, that there are other options. So do you help kids kind of navigate that whole
Absolutely.
options?
And I like the way you put it, college of the dreams. There are people who dream of going places, and they may get there. And it may be through the initial process, they may get there later on, but it's also helping them realize that they have other options, especially since I work here in Omaha, especially locally. They have great options in private institutions, public institutions, ranging from community colleges to outstanding private institutions. And so right here at home, and then that settles them in a little bit. So a lot of people have their great dreams. They want to go in an Ivy League school, or they want to go to Stanford or something like that. Well, they might get there.
You know, when
some people have have everything to do it.
When my oldest daughter was, and this goes back several years, but when she was prepping and talking about this college entrance and where she wanted to go and stuff, there was a get together, and she academically had the grades, but she's like, yeah, they're coming in town, and it was a representative from like Harvard, Yale, William and Mary. Anyway, I picked up the brochures. I'm like, no. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming, because even then, what it cost or whatever.
An exorbitant, and it's not just the tuition and fees and room and board.
Yeah.
You add 20% to that very easily over the next 4 or 5 years, and it can cost you a whole lot of money. And you don't have to do that to get a good education, to wind up with a career that rewards you. So.
Is that part of some of the services that you may offer? Does that include any, not necessarily financial advising, but are you able to talk people through maybe like the difference between starting a 529 versus, what scholarships available versus grants versus, I saw that you help people maybe apply for things like that. How much of that is that, and what do you do?
One of the things I do is, what I've been doing for the last year or so, is learning the different colleges and what they all have to offer. So, and likely ones that people are going to want to go to in this area. I'm talking about the public and private institutions. So I know what scholarships they have, I know what grants they have, and I can then direct people to, like, if they want to go to private college B, let me tell you, they have these 3 or 4 different grants, and some of this works out automatically. If they have outstanding grades, they'll get the presidential scholarship.
Right.
And then you work from there. And maybe they have extracurricular activities that are good in like theater or sports or something like that, or music. And then you get a little bit more money for that. One of the things I try to do is know what scholarships a number of different institutions offer, and direct, and I say, okay, so you want to go to college B? Here's what they have to offer. And of course, getting in contact with those people at those colleges is what it will get them through the process as well. So, Did I answer your question?
No, that's fantastic. I'm just thinking of all the questions I have and how much I wish I would have had somebody like you in my life, or all of it. It's a very overwhelming process for parents and for students. Or I'm thinking of all these students whose parents maybe didn't navigate this process, so they don't know how to help, and all the things that you can do for different things.
It can get emotional when you're sitting down with parents and they're young adults. We'll call them that, and it can get emotional. And issues come up. And so like the young person I was talking about wanted to go to nursing school at the University of Utah. When I got off the phone with her, her mom told me she cried. I think it's because it finally, she's a senior this year, it finally hit her that the time has come, she's about ready to leave home. And that's touching. It's touching for parents and all concerned. So we work with people through a wide range of emotions, and some are slam dunk. The kids got these great grades and all this other stuff, and most don't have that. So.
Well, a lot of what I hear today, I think, is what I feel is like overwhelmingly communicated now. Is you hear a lot about the trades, and then a lot about how AI is affecting future careers and things like that. So I don't know if somebody's coming to you and they're interested more in a trade direction or something that can educate them foundationally and something like that. Is that?
Oh, I'm all about that.
Okay.
I mean, if I was joking before with Mike, and that is that I can write a 500-page book, but I don't know the difference between a hammer and a screwdriver. And that's not a joke. I'm terrible with that. So I've always respected the trades. Yeah. And if people come and they want to go to an institution like a community college that offers trades, I'm all for helping them get there and knowing where to go and what places have these special trades. And AI is a huge player these days. I have to admit, I'm still trying to understand that. I am getting good at ChatGPT. I love that. That's my go-to. That's my fail-safe all the time. So, I'm not just about the quote-unquote book learning. I'm also about the hands-on too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
And that's something, if I may, every now and then I'll run into an issue with a mom and a dad, if they both are present, and the young person wants to do a trade, they want to do automotive mechanics, and mom and dad want the kid to go major in a 4-year institution. And I just sit there and listen and hopefully help them work through that. Because I've said forever, going to college, you better go with your heart as well as your head. Because if your heart will tell you where you want to go and what you want to do. And then you pursue that. One of the things people don't realize is that you can go get an associate degree in a trade and continue your education and get a bachelor's degree. And so you work it all out.
Right?
Yeah, after a while you get on a job and go to school at night or weekends or online. It's so big these days. Yeah. It's possible to do that. So if they do the trade, they're not done with their learning. They can continue on.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to tell people too, is, if you want to do this, but you also want to pursue this, there are so many options, especially here locally. And with transfer credits, they have a great, transfer program between local community colleges and public institutions and things like that. So you have so many options. I can't imagine going through that without somebody to guide you through that process.
And if I have a contact back in Princeton, New Jersey, and he only works with students going to the elite institutions in the United States. And he's blessed because he gets the kind of students that they don't necessarily get in, because these institutions have like a 95% rejection rate. And so the Ivy League, 5% get in, Stanford 5% get in, Chicago 5% get in, stuff like that. But he has that. So if I ever encounter a student that's good enough, I didn't say good enough, has the credentials, I contact my friend and he takes it from there. But the point of this is the world is wide open, from the trade schools to the very elites, and just helping people figure out where they want to go.
Fantastic.
And they don't always know that.
That was be another question is, do you have people coming to you saying, listen, I need some guidance because I have no typical direction in mind right now. I'm not really sure what my next step would be. Would that be also someone who would maybe benefit from these kind of services?
Absolutely, because not only college selection, but major selection, field of study. So that document that they fill out if they fill it out. I can, otherwise I'll talk to them about this. I can read that over and I'll detect things. And oftentimes for people like that, I'll say, let me make a recommendation. You probably, if you don't already have some through high school credits and stuff like that, going to college and high school, why don't you wind up going to a community college for a couple of years and get those basic courses done? And I will come right out and say that. And it works out. And I'm saying that then the sky's the limit when you're done here. You can go to a 4-year institution or whatever your goal may be. They may stop after that, get an associate's degree and go to work. And so,
is there also some I don't know if you could test or a quiz or something that can help when somebody, I don't even remember how many questions, but when it's done, it's like, based upon your answers, you'd be good in this field or this field.
Yeah, there are occupational indices
yeah.
out there, sure. And I think the high schools give their students
nice.
this. And that can help, certainly. I don't do that, but I know other organizations do.
So it sounds like you kind of take, maybe that would be maybe one piece of the puzzle, because there's so many different pieces that we would have to take into account. You'd be a great person to kind of put those all together and kind of get the bigger picture of where to go next.
Yeah, and the key is listening and not going in with my mind made up where you should go to college or something like that, or what your major should be. It's listening, and then again, it's an intense time, an emotional time for many parents and children, and they have to. And that gets in the way, psychological stuff gets in the way of making a clear decision. And by talking, we help to work people through that, so.
Great. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we are already running low on time.
Okay.
So, but we're so grateful for you to come. And Bob, would you tell us your website? If people are a little interested in maybe your services and your business, could you give us your website so they could learn more about you?
Sure. It's College Consulting with Dr. Bob. You just get on and type that in. Something else may come up. There are other Bobs out there. I have no idea who they are, but if you do a Google search,
there's more than
one Bob. College Consulting with Dr. Bob, and the website will come up, and it has a lot of information on it, and how to contact us and what our services are. So I appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, we love having you come on. There's such a multifaceted process here that it's great to learn more about it and what you do. And is this your first business?
Yes.
Great.
Well, I did a little consulting. I take that back. Years ago, I did some consulting on the side using my research skills with different institutions. But this is really the first I've gone off like this. So
we love to see it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. See you next time.